Hello, welcome to one of my new tutorials in which I will explain my 10 favorite texture tools. You might recognize this painting from another tutorial I did about making lines with cold wax and oils. We will continue it and you will see that probably it will end up quite nice, because it's often like that when you just don't care about what's happening. First of all, my first favorite texture tool is of course the palette knife. And when you drag it over the surface, you can make beautiful textures. It's just you don't have to have a very light hand. And since it's quite hot in my studio, the wax is quite soft. So if I want to have a bit of texture, I add a bit of marble dust. So I take a bit of marble dust and mix it with my paint. There's also cold wax in the mix, of course. And you will see it gives even more textures. Just don't press too hard and let it dry, and then you have these beautiful textures. Okay, the next one is a stencil, of course. I'm using that quite often in my first or second layer. And it sounds maybe strange, but I don't really like the very thick textures. So I'm using texture tools in my first and my second layer, and then I don't use them anymore. And I hardly ever use the whole stencil, just a part of it. And if you think it's too, it stands out too much, you can always soften it with your palette knife. The next one I like is a stamp. We need to have a bit of paint on the surface. And I've made this one myself. Easy to do. There are lots of tutorials on YouTube how to make stamps. You can either print them in the wet paint or print them on a dry surface. I hope you can see the next one. That's the one that I use quite often. It's embossed wallpaper, as you can see. This is wallpaper for my daughter's room when she was little. And then I press that in. I hope you can see it, but you see a beautiful flower. I think you can print this one too, if there's enough paint. You see, you can just play with everything. It's a pity it's the only one I have, embossed wallpaper. So if ever you have another one, please let me know, and I would love to have a sample, because this works really, really well. This little tool is fun too. It's for getting hairs out of your brush. I've never seen it before. I didn't even know it was used for that. But it gives beautiful lines. Okay, the next one is a kitchen tool. Paint has to be rather thick when you use it. And you press it in. Love that one too. Some tissue. Works well too. You can take tissue, you can take a ribbon, you can take lace. You can either do it like this, but if it's too thick, sometimes it doesn't work. Oh, it does. Look, beautiful. Or you can, like I did with the other one, just, it has to be thick and not enough paint, I think. But just print it in the wet paint. So there are 3 texture tools left. And I really hope that it inspires you to try everything you have at hand. From your kitchen tool, garden tools, try everything. Like this broom. Very fine, nice lines. This one too. Great tool. And then a bit more subtle is this one, paper coaster. It's a bit like a stencil. You see, it gives a nice texture too. I will do another one with white so you can see better. As you can see, they exist in several sizes. And then the last one, which is fun, but I hardly have any room left, but that's this one. And paint is very, very soft because of the heat in my studio, but we're going to try if it's working. Because if it's too soft, it's a bit slippery. But let's try. Yes, you see? It's kind of cool. So this is a really fun tool. Sometimes it's too slippery, but you see, it's a bit of a trial and error. I have made another one. They're really easy to make. You can just take some foam paper and a roller pin and then make your own patterns. Okay, and the one that I forgot and I really like too, so that's number 11, is paper, rice paper, other paper. But the rice papers will give thin lines. The only thing is so soft that I don't know if you can see it. But we'll see. So there again, it has to be rather thick, but not too thick, so you have to see what works. And you take some rice paper, press it in and go over it with a brayer. It's a bit too thick because it doesn't give the really fine lines. It's either too thick or too soft. Maybe if I try to put in some more. I'll do another one. See what happens. You see, this is a bit less soft than the other one and this one. I'll try it again. But you get the idea. This is better. You probably don't see this difference because it's quite subtle. And if you think there are too many textures, you can always go over it without taking off all the textures, but make it a bit flat. It's like I said, I don't really like very thick textures. I like the subtle way of making textures. And of course you can also do this lines with your ball scraper. Okay, these are all the beautiful textures we created. I hope you can see them. They're quite subtle, but that's what I like. Not too thick. If you haven't, please go and watch my tutorial on lines, how to make thin lines in cold wax and oils. That's what we did on the other layer. And the next one will be my 10 favorite drawing tools. So please subscribe to my channel so you will get the notifications. Thank you for watching.